Now, the race for this, the Britannic Assurance County Championship Trophy, it was dominated by 4 sides. In fact, the top 3 teams, they easily surpassed the amount of points that Warwickshire accrued when they won the championship in 1994. The statistics were interesting. Hardly any drawn matches in what was obviously a long, hot, dry summer. No county drew more than 6 games. In fact, Essex and Durham, they didn't manage one drawn game at all between them throughout the summer, although Durham, I would have thought, with just 4 wins and 13 defeats, they might have welcomed the odd draw. To many, the team who were the surprise force this summer were Northamptonshire. Although they had consistently high finishes in the 3 previous seasons, they weren't widely fancied as potential championship winners. But what made the difference this year was the hitherto unknown force of the Indian leg spinner Anil Kumble. He became the first bowler to take 100 first-class wickets in the season since a new 4-day format was introduced. Kumble's recruitment by Alan Lamb proved an inspiration, and so were the performances of Lamb himself. He enjoyed a fantastic early season with the bat. Under his leadership, Northants had opened up a 19-point lead at the top of the table by early July, and they were fast gaining a reputation for winning under pressure. They won by 9 runs against Surrey, by 2 wickets against Essex, and by 4 wickets against Derbyshire. Each time they were bowled out for a low score, twice for under 60. And 2 opposition bowlers, Dominic Cork and Mark Eilert, took 9 wickets in an innings against them, only to find themselves on the losing side. Crucial innings by Lamb proved decisive in all 3 games, and his form even caught the eye of the England selectors.
I asked Steph what my thoughts were to play if I was selected, yeah. And I did say that, you know, if they were running really short, that I'd come out and help out, but I didn't think I was going to get the call. I know that they had to go and speak to the main man, and I don't think that probably even crossed his mind.
Lancashire were also having a good start to the season. They showed their best form against the top sides. They convincingly beat all 3 teams who eventually finished above them. Warwickshire lost by 6 wickets, Middlesex by an innings, and Northants by 233 runs. John Crawley's magnificent 173 against Northants earned him an England call-up, and he was joined in the national team by Mike Watkinson. Unfortunately, these call-ups had their effects on Lancashire, and with 7 players missing at various stages on international duty, it became too much of a strain on their reserves. As the season reached its final stages, they were to fall away, although 4th place was a considerable improvement on recent years, and their final total of 269 was only 3 less than Warwickshire's winning 272 of 1994. Surrey had a disastrous summer, spending the whole season in the lower half of the table and making no progress at all in any of the one-day competitions. The abysmal form in the club's 150th year prompted a petition from the members to look into the problems within the club.
One doesn't like to make excuses, but for the 2nd year running we lost our overseas player at very, very short notice, and as well as Carl Rackham has bowled, Waqar Younis is a world-class bowler that can knock over 9, 10 and 11 very easily, and we haven't quite been doing that.
We've had some pitches to play on which probably doesn't suit our style of play. I mean, not complaining or anything, but that's the luck of the draw sometimes.
Had a few injuries here and there, and really we got off to a very poor start, which you know, takes a lot of time to drag back as the season goes on. But I'd like to think, you know, that we haven't performed too badly all the way through the season, and you know, you don't do so well every day, so you know, we'll come back next year and try hard.
Back at the top of the table, Northants' defeat by Lancashire allowed defending champions Warwickshire to join them at the top on 169 points, already 21 more than they had at the same stage the previous year. This season, Alan Donald was back in place of Brian Lara, and Nick Knight had joined them from Essex.
Yeah, I mean, I played against the guys last year for Essex, and I realised then that it was a team that I wanted to be involved in. I mean, everyone was enjoying themselves. Out on the pitch, you know, they were bubbling. You could just tell and sense when you get back in here. Everyone was enjoying. There was lots of noise, and I like that. I mean, I feel that does me good, and I mean, one of the reasons I came, I wanted to know more about that. And now that I've been here, I haven't been disappointed. It's phenomenal.
Donald's influence was immense. Opposition pitchers were prepared specifically to counter his pace, but it had little effect. And with Tim Munton bowling as consistently as ever, the Warwickshire attack was formidable.
I mean, AD's developed virtually every year he's been with us. He's got better and better over the years. He came to us as a very quick, very raw 18-year-old, and he's gradually sort of improved and improved. I think this year we're getting close as you'll get to seeing the finished article. He's bowled with as much pace as he ever has, but with a lot more control. And he's done it throughout the season, whereas early on in his career he used to do it in a bit of sort of fits and starts. This year, every single game he's played, he's bowled magnificently.
we all call him Magic Munton. You know, he's you know, workhorse. Call him what you like. He takes the pressure off me, for instance, trying to knock people over. But he always keeps the pressure on the other end because he swings it in, he swings it out, and believe it or not, Muntz can bowl a bouncer, and he's got people out like that. But he's such a great asset to our side because he just loves bowling. Durham is actually quite scared to take him off because he knows he's going to be grumpy, and he does get grumpy. He just wants to keep going because, you know, at the end of the day, he's bowled 30-odd overs, 40 overs in an innings, and he gets you 6 for or 5 for every time.
But in what looked to be their toughest match of the season against Northants at Edgbaston, it was with the bat as well as with the ball that these two were to play a major role. Both Munton and Donald took 4 wickets each, as Northants scored only 152 in their first innings, and then Roger Toos made a superb 100 to set up a lead. But he got little support from his teammates, and David Capel bowled Northants back into the game, taking 7 for 44. Toos was eventually last out for a magnificent 140, more than 60% of his team's total of 224. The Northants revival continued with the bat. Alan Forden made a defiant 101, playing confidently off the back foot until Donald's pace got him. And Russell Warren's 70 then ensured a testing target of 275 for Warwickshire. Arnold Cumbley struck with 4 quick wickets and a 53 for 6. Northants were suddenly well on top.
We fancied chasing in the last innings, and then unfortunately we found ourselves 50 for 6. Dermot and I got together, and it was just a matter of trying to sort of stop the rot initially. And then after a while we started to try and take the game to them, and it worked very well.
In fact, it worked so well that Reeve and Smith put on 148 for the 7th wicket. Then Cumbley made another breakthrough, dismissing Smith, Reeve and Piper. With the last pair together, 47 was still needed.
It's quite interesting, your number 10 and 11 batters, you get the mickey taken out of your year because you lack of ability, yet when it gets tight, go on Tim, you can do it. It always makes me laugh. It was a great game of cricket. I mean, I think Alan Lamb is quoted as saying it's the best game of cricket he's ever played in county championship cricket. And it was certainly a game that sort of ebbed and flowed. It went one way, then the other. And Alan Donald and I came together. I think it was just over 40 runs required, and we put on 30-odd runs, and all of a sudden the belief was around Edgbaston we were going to win the game.
We got within 7 or 9 runs, and they were dead quiet out there. Really, really could feel the atmosphere, and I kept shouting from the other end. When Capel came on to bowl, I thought, just watch the ball really hard, just don't try anything stupid, and you know, you can't blame him. I mean, he saw a straight ball, tried to whip it, and he was LBW. It just sunk right through me. I thought, oh no, that could be the championship, just gone there. But, you know, it was a fantastic game of cricket.
Another tight match and another win for Northants. But another side were enjoying similar fortunes and mounting a serious challenge to the leaders. Middlesex's mid-season run of 8 successive wins, all of them by huge margins, they saw them overtake both Northants and Warwickshire at the top of the table. Where last season's runs had come from John Carr, this year they came from Mark Ramprakash. With 10 centuries, he enjoyed his best ever season and ensured he would take the last batting place on England's tour of South Africa. Opener Jason Pooley, he also had a marvellous first full season.
We were almost experimenting at the beginning of the season because having lost 2 openers in Desmond Haynes and Mickey Roseby, that was rather a large miss, and we lost obviously both Ramps and Gussie early doors, and along with a few injuries we were quite depleted. So I suppose one real big difference after the start of the season was the fact that Jason Pooley fitted in very nicely into the slot, and Mark Ramprakash came back and played magnificently through the rest of the season.
John Embry in his last season for Middlesex was a vital contributor, and with both Phil Tufnell and Angus Fraser in form, it looked as if Middlesex's challenge would be sustained. But remarkably, just as Middlesex kept winning, so did both Warwickshire and Northants. Warwickshire swept to victories against Hampshire, Nottinghamshire and Worcestershire, while Northants were beating Durham, Gloucester, and in an extraordinary match, they also beat Nottinghamshire. Warwickshire's wins illustrated their all-round strength, as young players like Wasim Khan, Keith Piper, Trevor Penny, Dougie Brown and Ashley Giles all played important roles. Northants were benefiting from the consistent high scoring of Alan Forden, and Kevin Curran was contributing well with both bat and ball. Cumbley's wickets nevertheless were the key, and 6 for 76 in Gloucestershire's first innings meant he'd taken 38 wickets in his last 7 innings. Against Nottinghamshire, however, the run seemed sure to end, as Tim Robinson and Graham Archer both scored big hundreds, and Nottinghamshire made 527 in the first innings. But Northants replied with their highest ever total, 781 for 7, scoring 560 in a day, with 4 batsmen making hundreds. And then they bowled Nottinghamshire out for just 157. Kumble returned match figures of 9 for 161, and the match ended with just 2.5 overs to be bowled.
We saw scenes yesterday at Northampton which we'd never seen previously. Crowds banging on boundary boards and demanding our presence on the balcony, and this was just for a mere championship match, if you like. We've seen it perhaps in one-day cricket, but in championship cricket we hadn't. So it was exciting stuff, and the result went our way, so we were happy.
Well, despite these results, Middlesex were still top. And with 3 games left, they'd already reached the 272 points that saw Warwickshire take the title in 1994. But then Middlesex had to play Northants in a game that neither side could afford to draw, still less lose. Too much was at stake, and the match could not produce a result for either side. Rob Bailey with 200s, Ram Prakash almost inevitably, and Paul Weeks all scored centuries, but Middlesex set a target of 367 in 55 overs on the 4th day. They were forced to abandon the chase. And so Warwickshire, whose 2-day win over Gloucestershire put them back at top, they were now clear favourites. Playing Derbyshire in the penultimate round of matches, Alan Donald again proved a match winner, taking 5 for 65 to set up a 10-wicket victory.
I've bowled some quick spells, but I don't think I've ever bowled that quickly in my life. I was so charged up inside here because I know that this is it. This is the championship could be over in this spell.
Well, that win ended Northants' hopes of the title, but Middlesex could still pip them in the last week if they beat Leicestershire at Uxbridge. That match provided a classic finish.
All the boys were at Edgbaston. We've been told to come back for 5:30 just in case Leicestershire won the match or Middlesex didn't manage to win. So all the boys would come back at 5:30. We were sitting in there with the CFAX on, pacing up and down. In the end, the physio said it's on the radio, and at that point, Leicestershire required 3 runs. And Mullally scraped a 2 with an overthrow. Well, they need 3 runs to tie, which was enough for us to win the championship. And we were listening to the radio, and Blowers gave it the old, well, Tufnell comes into bowls to Mullally, and he's hit it. And as soon as he said he'd hit it, all the boys sort of leapt to their feet in the physio room, thinking, he's hit it for what? For 4 to win? And he's hit it in the air, and Embry's under it. He's going to be caught. Yes, he's caught. And it was just so deflating. I have to say, it was probably the worst few hours of my life, waiting around, watching the CFAX.
And so to Canterbury, where Warwickshire faced Kent. Here, Nick Knight registered his first championship 100 of the season. He was in command throughout. His innings of 174 allowed Warwickshire to declare at 468 for 6. Kent never threatened to make a fight of it. Only Graham Cowdrey with 103 showed any resistance as Kent were forced to follow on 229 behind, Dermot Reeve fittingly taking 5 wickets. Shortly after 5 o'clock on the 3rd day, it was all over. Alan Donald found the edge of Min Patel's bat, and Neil Smith hung on to the catch. For Donald, it was a moment he'll long remember.
The only thing I can remember was when he nicked it. I didn't even look at the slips. I just threw my hands up, and I thought it's all over. I'm just glad that Neil Smith caught one for once. But that's it. It's all over. And it was a fantastic moment in my career, that knowing that in 8 years it was the last shot at it that I had win the championship, and it just felt so emotionally great that all the guys around me, I just didn't know where to go and where to look. It was just a fantastic feeling.
For me, the personal highlight would be the fact that we have done this in a bit of adversity. The likes of Gladstone Small, Tim Munton and Andy Moles have really only played half a season each, and they're 3 top county cricketers. So the likes of Wasim Khan, Dougie Brown, Ashley Giles, young players that have come in, and they haven't just done a decent job, they've actually done really well, and that's been very encouraging. It shows that the future at Warwickshire is in good hands.
I hope you at home have enjoyed our review of the year. We'll be back on Cover Point in December with news from Pakistan, where Sri Lanka came back